Thanks, Moira. Asif Hassan is a young man who, in many ways, shouldn't be sitting here talking about what he's going to be talking about. In fact, he should be in a jail cell somewhere. At least that's where his life was heading. He's from Guyana. He's lived in Canada most of his life, but he's got a terrific story. Welcome.
Well, thank you very much, Jim.
First of all, where is Guyana?
Guyana is, I guess, it's nest right at the northern part of Brazil, right, and beside Venezuela.
Yeah. And it's known to most people because of Jim Jones.
Oh my!
I mean, that's really what put it on the map, right?
Yeah, unfortunately.
You know, and drink the Kool-Aid has become sort of part of one of the expressions of the English language. A very tragic story.
Yeah.
This happened long before you were born, of course.
I think just before.
Just before.
Just in, yeah.
We were talking off here. We're all getting older every day, but. Let's get right to your story because it's absolutely fascinating. Your father was a terrific guy when he was sober, but when he was drunk, he was a raging menace to your mother and to you and your brother. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, Dad just had a drinking problem, and he would drink so much to the point where it would just come right out of him, this rage. One occasion I did see him and remember vividly when he had grabbed my mother by the back of her hair and began to pull her down the steps backwards. That was just, you know, you're helpless when you see that, Jim. But alcohol is a horrible thing.
And you're what, 4 or 5 years of age at that time?
Yeah, about 5, yeah.
Yeah, so you remember it vividly.
Yeah, vividly. You'll never forget somebody abusing your mother like that, never.
The conflict that you witnessed on an almost daily basis must have had a very disturbing imprint on you as a developing child. I mean, do you think that some of your later troubles related to those early years?
I always like to relate, I guess, adolescent issues to fatherly guidance. Yeah. And my father wasn't much of a guide. As I said, many times he was drunk. So, but when he was sober, he was a loving, kind man. Yeah. But unfortunately, there was fewer.
Now, your mother eventually left him, right?
Yes.
Just sort of self-preservation.
Yeah.
But you and your brother were, what, sent to Canada about 4 years before she came?
My uncle, actually, my mom's brother, being led in his heart compassionately, felt to adopt my brother and I to Canada. So he began a process to bring us out of the country. And so we came out of the country because of his kindness.
And what was it like for you and your brother to enculturate in Canada? Tell us a bit about that.
Oh, you know, I often like to say, we thought we were coming to a land flowing with milk and honey, and of course the first thing we saw was snow.
Right, it was a bit of a blow, right?
Oh, yeah. But it was also quite difficult getting integrated into the system, the school system. We spoke very broken English, and so we were taunted and teased and aggravated. Of course, at that time, I often say that the young people didn't know what we were carrying, the burdens we were carrying, the brokenness that was already present in our life from various things that happened in our past. So it was just kind of like heaping, you know, more junk on top of junk, really. And
you became bullied by kids at school.
Yes, yes.
Until one day you decided to strike back, and you went home and got a knife.
Oh boy.
And stabbed the bully right in the neck.
Well, we stuck the knife in the fellow's neck, and he, fortunately, by God's grace, he didn't get injured to get hurt, but he did at that point surrendered his bulliness. He did cry out for his own safety and salvation, really, at that point. You know, save me, don't hurt me.
And you suddenly felt a strange sense of empowerment, right? This made you feel very strong.
Oh, well, finally, you know, you found that thing that can protect you, because Dad wasn't there. An uncle that loves you is working very hard to provide for you. He's not at home a lot either. And so you're at school, you have to stand for yourself. And so carrying a knife was the beginning of it. It escalated then to guns and to various other forms of weapons.
And eventually to membership in a local gang. And
yeah, nicely put.
Yeah, and then some time in jail.
Yeah, gangs, Gangs formed because we were looking for association, we were looking for comfort, we were looking to belong.
Yeah.
Really, somebody that would just receive you. And so the fellows that we hung out with was just guys that themselves were possibly broken also, and so we knitted quite easily, and we carried out our business.
And many of them, like you, suffering a kind of a father gap in their lives.
Mostly, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
So, you're in jail. You were in jail more than once.
Many times.
Many times
yeah.
in jail. You're a tough guy on the street. Were you a tough guy in jail?
Yes, yes.
Oh.
You have to be. You cannot allow the intimidation of others to suppress you.
And how did you feel during the dark nights when you were by yourself in your cell?
It was always lonely. It was very teary. I wept many, many nights. I wept very hurt, disappointed in life. On many occasions, felt like killing myself. Very suicidal. Actually, I concocted a plan to do so. One evening of strangling myself in one of these cells.
Of course, this happens a lot. I mean, we're always hearing stories about young men who have hung themselves or killed themselves in one way or another in prison. Total despair, no hope, right?
No hope, no.
I remember hearing a little bit of your story one time, and you talked about, at one point in your desperation, crying out for your mother.
Yeah, well, my mom was always there. She was the backbone, really, you know, that held me, and she herself being a weak, you know, with all her abusive past, but yet she loved her sons and my brother and I.
You know, it's kind of a juxtaposition. Here's this tough guy, you know, calling out for mommy, but it shows you that there was a depth of need in your life that somebody had to meet, and at that point in time, nobody was meeting. Somebody comes along with a Gideon Bible. Who was that?
An uncle of mine that became a Christian came into this jail that I was in, and they had removed all the Bibles from the jail.
Why did they do that?
The young people would tear the leaves of the Bible and roll their drugs in it and smoke these leaves, and so they'd remove them all. So there was no access to any Bible, but he had come along and he had gotten a Bible from the guards, and he presented it to me. And he said to me, look, I want you to read the book of Psalms, the book of John, and the book of Proverbs, you know, and he said, take your time, you've got lots. But the Bible was new to me. We often talked about the Bible, but never had one, never picked up one. So I took it with a
like you come from a secular Muslim background,
yes,
right?
Yes, I do.
So the Bible would be a foreign
object
to you.
Yeah.